Good morning. I'm Rebecca from Street, and I'm very, very glad to be able to kind of talk about our relationship with Seek. Seek and Street have been working together now since 2011, I think, Daniel. And it came about because the person who set up the first workplace giving stuff at Seek, a woman called Naomi Barson, met us and thought there was a really strong alignment with what Seek was trying to do in their program. What has been wonderful, I guess, for us is that it's grown from just, what started out as I think our very first donation that came through that kind of was a bit head scratching because I saw 17 cents in our donations and wondering where the hell is 17 cents from? And it's grown significantly from then. What I think has been really powerful as part of that is I guess what we've done is we've seen the workplace giving relationship with Seek as very much creating shared value together. So in our mind, what we've done is we've put a shared value framework over it, and there are 5 key areas that I see work being done in. And so even though we don't explicitly have a strategy around this, these are the areas that I think that we've done work in and how we think about it internally at Street. So one is around culture. Obviously, for most workplace giving programs, the internal culture of the organisation and making sure that that's strong is really critical. And I think one of the things that Seek did, exceptionally well at the beginning, it chose quite a small number of charities who were very aligned with their core purpose of the organisation. So that ability to be able to keep saying, this is who we are as people, this is part of our DNA, but this aligns with core business. So rather than kind of throwing the floodgates kind of open and having dozens and dozens and dozens of charity partners, it was quite small and aligned with what the organisation does. There's been a range of things that we've done over that time around culture building. So whether or not that's volunteering things, we've had over the years many Seek staff come through and do different volunteering things, right through to even secondments for many months, for example. One of the things that I think is quite critical as far as workplace giving is the narrative and the storytelling that needs to go around these things. And what Seek has done is run lunchtime events over the years where they invite staff in to come and learn about their charity partners. And that's an amazing opportunity for storytelling by those of us who are running the charities. One of the challenges, I think, is often, the impact of what's happening in an organisation can be a long distance from those sitting in the corporate. So how do you make the story and the impact tangible and as close as you can make it to the staff members? And so those lunchtime sessions, I think, have been a really great way of doing that. The other area that we often see as quite critical to those corporates is their own reputation. So that ability to show what they're doing within the community and kind of talk more broadly about it. So sometimes, obviously, for some organisation that might just, sorry, I've been getting over a cold for the last couple of weeks. So sometimes that might be for an organisation, an annual report or something small like that. But in other cases, Dan, you talking about appeals. One of the things I think we've done really well with Seek is kind of key times of the year or key times when things are happening, we make a stand on something. So an example would be the marriage equality debate, where what Street did is developed a product, specifically a food product. It was a genderbread person, so the gingerbread, where we had some of our key corporate partners hosting morning teas within their organisation, but where both organisations were strongly aligned around the issue, but we created a product that allowed you to have the conversation kind of internally, but also both organisations had taken a strong stand externally in that kind of campaigning sort of way. One of the other things that I think we've been a little bit lucky to be able to do, and you've probably seen from some of the photos, for those of you who know Street, we're a social enterprise. So we run businesses. We're a hybrid organisation that every day is serving lots and lots of customers within our business. So when you've got businesses, this is an example of one of our trainees within one of our largest businesses. What we've got an ability to do is do business together. And that's one of the things I think that's been probably the most successful part of our relationship. That what started as a philanthropic relationship initially has become very much a business relationship. So on those kind of points, for me, kind of business operations and business growth in both directions has been part of our relationship. What that looks like for us, it could be anywhere. I'm guessing in the next 2 weeks, you guys are going to be eating a lot of our hot cross buns. But just to give you an even bigger example, 2 years ago, Street developed its second cookbook. And a cookbook, as you can imagine, is a really, really expensive thing to produce. Hundreds of thousands of dollars often to produce a cookbook. But the return on investment of that cookbook is enormous once it's printed and you start to sell it. So what Seek did is they underwrote that cookbook development by being our first major customer and said, we'll buy this many cookbooks, we'll put the money up front, which allows you to pay the printing bill, to be able to know that we could actually go ahead with the project. Now, the dollars that they put in, it wasn't like it was philanthropic dollars. They were buying a product. They were buying a product that then had value to them internally in the organisation. I still remember Seek used it as their Christmas present to many of their major customers. And I still remember, I think it was Christmas Eve, I got an incredible email from one of their customers in WA who ran an organisation and said, I have just received the Christmas present from Seek this year. This is the most extraordinary present I've ever had from this organisation. I've had presents every year from them, but this is just extraordinary. Thank you for allowing us to be part of the impact that you've got. So that kind of reputation, PR way of being able to use the support, but that's not a philanthropic relationship. That's a business relationship where we're doing business together and we've got a product and service that is being supported by Seek. And the final category for me is around innovation. One of the things that I really love about Seek is they're a highly innovative culture. And often in philanthropy and workplace giving, lots of organisations go with fairly safe bets for who they support. It's often some of the older organisations that have very kind of well-known brands. What I think was extraordinary when Seek took a punt on us, we were tiny. We were such a small organisation. And I think what they saw in us was innovation. They saw a young organisation who was trying to build a new type of hybrid organisation and business model, and we were innovative. And I think what I love is our two cultures, I think, are both quite similar. What we find is that organisations often, when they think about social enterprise, they say, well, we kind of get your business model because the dollars that we might be putting in here at the front end, we know we won't have to keep supporting you forever because you're building your business model to be financially sustainable in the long run. So it's that ability to get kind of beyond philanthropy in the future. I think that is one of the most precious things in a social enterprise. But to do that, we've got to innovate a lot. So where Seek has definitely helped us is in some of that innovation, and the secondment that we had from one of the staff members of Seek for many months was in that innovation space. So where we're doing a specific project where Seek has seen the value in that project, but quite often they're not traditional ways of supporting. The other thing I just want to mention is the criticality of champions internally. What we've always found, not just with Seek, but with any of our corporate relationships, it's normally one person that just makes stuff happen. They're often, they might be even swimming a bit against the tide of their organisation. They're often not someone who has, necessarily a lot of influence, or hierarchical kind of power in an organisation. They just choose that this is the thing that they want to do. And often they're a little bit, below the radar. They start doing something below the radar and starting to kind of do something within their little part of the organisation. So this might be impact that's been created before it even makes it to a workplace giving program. It might be the sorts of things that someone's doing almost, around their day job as something that they're doing at night, which then starts to become mainstreamed within the organisation. I went back through and looked at all of our corporate partnerships since we started in 2010, And what I found is every single one of those had been started by a woman. So 17 women had started, were the catalyst for those corporate relationships. And often they weren't in those high-level positions, that they just started to influence things. So I think my point, I guess, is that if you think that you're insignificant in your organisation and you don't have positional power, that doesn't matter. Often it's those kind of individuals who get passionate about something and start to think about how they can create these relationships in an organisation. So that's probably it from me, because I know we're going to have some questions in a minute, but I want to say thank you to Seek for what's been many years of innovating together, and here's to the next decade.